What's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? So, I actually saw Wonder Woman on opening night a few days ago, and I'm only just now getting around to making a video for it. And as far as analogies go, I think what I just said about making this video is a pretty accurate description of how I feel about this movie. Like, I'm here, I'm making the video, but I didn't feel the need to take care of it right away. Now, overall, I'd say it was a pretty decent movie. Like, it was a good movie. I'm probably gonna recommend it to most people, but if I'm being honest, I feel like the subtitle for this movie should have just said Wonder Woman Sometimes. Because the movie is legitimately good, but it's inconsistently good on, like, a lot of levels. First thing I'll talk about is Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I've never really been a fan of this casting choice. If I had it my way, I would have said to the producers, yo, get Rooney Mara, throw her in a gym for 3 months, bring her back, that's your Wonder Woman. But alas, we're stuck with Gal Gadot at this point. And I have to admit, as much as I don't like the casting, she had some really good scenes. I won't give away the scene itself, but there's a point where she's trying to explain to somebody the importance of generals and soldiers fighting alongside each other, and I thought it was brilliant. Like, not only was the script awesome in that moment, but Gal Gadot was actually, like, really, like, she looked passionate, like she cared about what she was saying. And I thought her chemistry with Chris Pine was actually really, really good. And to be completely honest, I didn't like the majority of the acting until Chris Pine kind of, like, you know, entered the movie, I guess you could say. But I personally wasn't a fan of a lot of the acting when you were on Wonder Woman's home island. But as the movie went on, I feel like Patty Jenkins, the director, got more in tune with, like, everybody she was working with, and the acting got significantly better throughout the movie. And I've never been that big of a fan of Chris Pine, but in this movie and Hell or High Water, I think I'm actually becoming a fan. Another thing that was good for the most part was the CGI, anytime it was a landscape especially. Like, there's a sweeping shot of London that I thought looked amazing, but some of the CGI in the action scenes, like, just did not make any sense to me. Like, the physics when a real person is there fighting someone compared to, like, when the CGI kicks in, like, didn't match up, and I just didn't think it was that great. But the landscape CGI was all awesome in my opinion, which leads me to two, like, super positives about the movie. Some of the fight scenes were immaculately good. Like, the action choreography, or like fight coordination, whatever you want to call it, was pretty amazing. Like, they put some serious time and effort into all the fight scenes in this movie. And the other big positive was the visuals. Granted, Wonder Woman's a comic book originally, so there's like decades and decades of visual imagery to kind of like mine from and put that on the screen. But the execution of all of it was very, very successful in my opinion. Even if I didn't like most of the acting on Themyscira, like all the costumes and basically all the set design, like all that stuff still looked fucking fantastic. Although the movie did have its head up its own ass a little bit too much in one aspect. If you saw Avengers Age of Ultron, you remember that scene early in the movie when all the Avengers are in the snow and it like turns to slow motion for like a second and it looks like a fucking comic book cover, like a legit comic book cover? Patty Jenkins did that about 10 times throughout the movie, and I think that was about 4 or 5 too many. Like, the movie visually sucked its own dick a few times, but I don't count that really as a negative. That's just me, like, having a preference, per se. Does not take away from how well this movie looked. It looked amazing. And I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but I fucking loved the third act of this movie. Like, the whole end sequence. It showed the arc of the main characters and how they've grown and what they've come to understand, while also visually awesome, and it had this emotional weight to it that I really appreciated. And lastly, the only other negative I have to say is that the kind of crew that Wonder Woman and Chris Pine were kind of traveling with, I thought they were a little bit too cartoony for my taste. Especially the Native American character that they had in the movie. However, I will say this. Props to them for actually casting a Native American in a Native American role. Because that, I think, after seeing The Revenant, I'm like, you know what? That needs to happen more often. Because let's be honest, there's really not a whole lot of A-list, well-known Native American actors out there. So that little bit of diversity I was really, really a fan of. So anyway, guys, all in all, I'd say the positives, like, greatly outweigh the negatives. However, the negatives are pretty significant ones. You know, your leading lady in a movie like Wonder Woman is, like, vastly important in my opinion, and they kind of missed the mark for me on that. So for an overall score, I think I'm gonna give it a 6.8 out of 10. Despite the key negatives that I feel about this movie, I do think it was a step in the right direction for the DCU. And as far as being the first, like, super serious female lead superhero movie, I think this was a big step forward in the genre. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts? Have you seen this movie yet? Hop in the comments, let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, do all that other bullshit, and I will catch you guys later.